What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Flip My Base on Missed Opportunities. Brian, let's hear the invitation.
Missed Opportunities is the map where we have to clear out terrazine geysers for Stetmann's bots to harvest. Then we have to protect said bots from enemies. If we lose more than one bot on brutal difficulty, we lose the game. Missiles fly in from the edges of the map and target your buildings if you don't shoot them down. A Purifier Beam chases your forces and damages them. Amon steals your buildings if he destroys them.
Okay, so we have Stetmann and Sticksbender in the call with us today. How are you guys today?
Doing well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
I'm also doing pretty well. I'm really happy today because I finished my tax stuff. Hooray! What a glorious
Yeah.
day. I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore until Q1. Oh my Donnie. You know, in our country, we got a news thing that apparently our president extended our tax deadline from the 15th of April until the 15th of May. But the announcement came on the 14th of April. So, like, you're basically already done.
That sounds like the teacher who's looking at the submission box and saying, only 5% of the class is submitted. Hey, guys.
Well,
do you need help?
Okay. I think I read an article from, I think China is now disallowing people who aren't licensed to speak about a topic. Well, I am licensed, so I will totally speak about this. Normal, what happens is companies wait until the very last day to file their taxes because, like, they could use the money for other stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So,
you see, yeah, here in the U.S., they just take your money and then you have to file your taxes to get any of it back.
Oh, really? That's...
Yeah.
That
also,
sounds like...
for corporations, they don't pay taxes. Basically. Because all they have to do is prove that no, we didn't actually earn this money. It was part of our expenses, and we never actually touched the money because it went from our income source directly to our expenses.
I thought they
without
were
ever going through our hands.
I thought they were gonna say they just pass it on to the consumers, which is probably also accurate.
Which is also
in some sense.
true, but like a good portion of the taxes, they also just companies are taxed at a lower rate than the population.
That's actually
the
true.
The U.S. is very dystopian.
Well, it's not just the U.S. Let me tell you that. Anyway, Edwin Home, how do we rank the commanders this week?
Well, you basically only care about missile command this week. The Purifier Beams can generally just be trapped. This map, you do have to do a bit of clearing to actually get a decent spot to trap the Purifier Beams, but in the early game, they're just kind of slowly making their way across the map to you, so you should have space to do that. Once you trap them, they're not much of a concern for basically anyone as long as they're not in the way of your rallies. And then, yeah, it's just, can you deal with missile command, pretty much.
All right. What do you think, Sticksbender?
So I would say trapping Purifier Beams is something that is a very good strategy. It can be a little tricky to set up if you haven't done it before, and it can, depending on how you do it, get messed up by your ally. So I would say if you are 100% dependent on trapping Purifier Beams, that probably is a small point against you, but I will also point out for anyone who wants to trap Purifier Beams, that entire massive air void in the bottom left corner of this map in particular is a great place to trap them, because if you use an air unit to trap them there, the beams are never going to come anywhere near anything else because it's just a giant dead space.
Exactly. Another thing I like about that... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Other than that, this mutation is very racist because if you are Terran, then you are like 2 tiers higher than anyone who is not Terran.
We'll see how true that is. Another thing I like about that particular dead space you mentioned is it's a perfect excuse for me to activate the bonus really early and totally make the excuse that, oh, I was just trapping a Purifier Beam. I wasn't trying to fail the bonus this early. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, ally. Okay,
Exactly. We love failing the bonus on this map.
Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur is decent-ish this week. He's not great because he's not Terran and he doesn't have repair, but he does tend to have a lot of extra minerals, so you can kind of just spam spore crawlers. Zerg does have a slight advantage over Protoss, I think, because if you actually have to build supply units, you're building overlords that don't take up space in your base and are getting hit by missile command, where Protoss has to build pylons, which very much do. So I think that's a little uptick for him as well. The only way you can bypass point defense drones is, like, I think obviously the symbiotes. I don't actually know if parasitic bomb from the Vipers could do it or not. I didn't bother, but as long as you're on top of burrowing back with your brutalisks to deal, or wherever, because you can deep tunnel anywhere on the map,
Yes.
to deal with the big nukes, then you should be fine. So I had him in B tier.
B tier. What do you think, Sticksbender?
Yeah, B tier seems fine. Abathur can indeed spend a lot of money on spores. Also, overlords actually are quite helpful because they form the perfect air unit for trapping the Purifier Beam. If you are an F2 player, which many people are, you don't have to worry about
Including
it with
me.
overlords because overlords are not combat units. Protoss doesn't have that luxury of an air unit. Terran, you have to hope you're someone with floating barracks, which is most Terrans, but not all of them. So yeah, it's nice to not have to avoid F2 in order to keep Purifier Beams trapped for a lot of players. Yeah, Abathur B tier seems fine.
All right, unanimous B tier. Prestige wise, no prestige. Or second one.
I think second
Probably
one still.
none. Second is also fine.
Well, you're going to
I
be
don't
building
remember.
so many spore crawlers, you really don't care about the extra gas cost, right?
Yes,
True.
that was.
I do actually have a question because I don't actually know this information off the top of my head. Do swarm hosts automatically spawn locusts for the missiles, or would they not spawn locusts for the missiles?
I'm pretty sure they do.
Anything
I
that
don't think
they
I even
can
bothered eating
attack,
locusts.
they would spawn missiles for. Actually, what I like to do is put a toxic nest on off, auto detonate, and then attack it with a swarm host. So the swarm host will just keep sending locusts at it. So there's always locusts ready to go.
Yeah, that works. That's
Anyway, Abathur, B tier. Moving on. Alarak, where do we have him?
good. Alarak's actually pretty good. So he can't repair. He's not Terran, so he's not S tier. That's pretty much how this is gonna go.
Very
But
sad.
he does have Void Rays, specifically destroyers, which can kill missiles because they have a beam attack. They don't have to worry about point defense drones. He also has 2 hero units, and he can, against most enemy comps, solo the entire map with just those 2 hero units. And, you know, he could support with, like, maybe a Warp Prism with Pylon Overcharge, because that's also hero unit power level, frankly. So in a sense, you could almost argue he has 3 hero units, and you're basically going to be just, all of your money is going to go into destroyers, will defend your home base from missiles, and you're going to have Alarak, a mothership, and a Warp Prism with Pylon Overcharge, and you're going to be playing Protoss Tychus, basically. And that's Alarak, and it just works because you have a good home defense unit. I would put him in A tier.
A tier. What do you think, Edwin Helm?
Yeah, I think the repair, and then also the fact that the destroyers are so squishy that they will die to the medium-sized rockets over time. So it's not just like a complete free defense. You do have to, like, be a little careful with the destroyers so they don't just perish, because they aren't that cheap. Puts him in A tier for me as well, but he's still pretty good.
I
My
will
only-
say the destroyers have a high enough attack rate and with the bouncing attack that if you have a critical mass of them, they actually shoot down the mini projectiles from the medium missiles as well. So they will only die if you don't have a critical mass.
The only concern I have for Alarak is that you probably shouldn't necessarily play him as a Tychus-like player or a Tychus-like commander, because sometimes the enemy waves split and target different bots. Specifically the 1930 attack wave on the 4th set. You can lose bots that way if you aren't splitting units or armies. So that's a little warning.
And
Still-
you do have Alarak a hero unit and a mothership a hero unit, and your mothership can teleport herself and Alarak to the pylon if you put, or the warp prism if you put the warp prism over on the other side.
Exactly. So splitting. You have to split in some manner, even if it's just
Tychus
putting a
style
separate
splitting.
pylon. Yeah, Tychus style splitting. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, A tier for Alarak. Prestige twice, third one, right?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Arcturus. Where do we have him?
Arcturus is really quite good. He's got great top bars, which are awesome. He's got bunkers, which are also awesome. You do have to keep them alive. And yeah, he's just got great pushing power. Top bars can handle everything. He's got great map clearing to kind of get out ahead of things. I guess trapping the beams, shouldn't be an issue as well. So yeah, pretty easy S tier.
What do you think, Sticksbender?
Yeah, the best way to trap the beams is going to be a floating building because, again, it doesn't get flanked by F2 and has the right move speed to be relatively easy to trap the beams with because it's easier to trap the beams with slower units. Yeah, easily S tier. His bunkers are very small too, and they can fit a lot of DPS density inside them because they can fit 6 guys. Don't put rocket troopers in them because the rockets can be shot down by point defense. The regular bullets can't. So you want regular bullets. And yeah, make a bunch of Marines basically, and you have a bunch of guys on repair to make sure that any missiles that slip through the cracks don't cause a problem.
Are you guys concerned that floating buildings patrolling will just get targeted down by missiles and then get taken over by
yeah,
Amon? Before
that's
we
true,
suggest
although-
that,
Yeah,
That's
I
a
would
good
say
point.
you could still just do like
A blimp?
a blimp. A blimp's pretty slow, I think.
Or just not a 2,
I
you
guess
have bunkers. Just drop the bunkers.
3 blimps, right? You need a blimp for each one eventually. But yeah, blimps.
Yeah,
Or
blimp,
you just patrol around. Like once, especially once you get later in the game, like once the third one's spawned, the third beam, I think you're heading into like the 4th set around that time. So you can use like the whole right side where you had the 3rd set for trapping there as well, and it's not really going to get in the way of much of anything. But yeah, you can also just use blimps.
Some enemy
I kind of
waves
forgot
from
that
the 5th
floating
set.
buildings are still valid targets for the beam missiles.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, there is a guy that doesn't even matter for later on, but this is not that guy.
This is not that guy. So the other thing is the 5th set sometimes spawns on the right side or the 3rd set. Are we referring to the same thing at Patel? You're saying patrol your builds on the right side. Sometimes 5th wave or 5th set waves spawn there.
Well, yeah, but you do it like where the spot on the left of the 3rd set is, right? There's that whole kind of open field south of where the 4th set guys will spawn, and then when the 5th set guys spawn, they just walk up to the bot on the bottom right, so they wouldn't go to that area anyways.
I can kind of see, yeah. So the center,
A
the
little
center
bit
of the
north and east of the natural
center.
expansion for player 2, right?
Yeah, there's a little pocket there.
Okay. A
Yeah,
tiny
you have some
pocket
space there. Again,
Very
I think
small
blimps
space.
will do the trick just fine, but you could do it there, yeah, and it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. What do you think,
Worst
Sticksbender?
case scenario, the beams kind of get released on the final wave, but like by then, the beams
Yeah.
are very slow. The time it takes for them to get somewhere actually dangerous is a while.
Okay, so that's S tier for Arcturus. Moving on,
Yeah.
Artanis. Where do we have him?
Oh goodness. So Artanis, he does have something that can attack through point defense. It's Archons. They're short ranged and fat, and therefore they can't really reach missiles that good, and they get pummeled by the medium sized missiles, and they tend to just die. You are gonna be struggling, Artanis. Your best bet is probably using just a mass of dragoons as both your army and to defend against missiles early on. And then whenever you have to move out to defend bots, you're going to lose buildings, which you'll then have to later destroy and rebuild. And you're going to have to still have either a big ball of dragoons at home or some Archons at home to just target down the nukes. If you are getting Archons, you can get Storm, and you can storm the nukes, which is actually more efficient than trying to shoot them down with Archons. But, like, it's bad. Artanis is like D or possibly E. Like, it's bad.
What do you think, Ebenham?
Yeah, I think he's pretty bad, but I had him in D. I think, you'll help some. Once you start getting the Dragoon strategy works decently well until the big nukes start coming out. And then you're like, wow, I have 50 Dragoons and it takes 10 minutes for them to get through the 5-point defense drones. So it's pretty painful. It can be done, but there's other more fun ways to do this mutation. So do those. I had him in D tier.
What do you think about D tier, Sticksbender?
Yeah, D's fine. I don't think we need to fling people all the way down to E just yet. If we push people down too top heavy, then he'll be an E tier.
All right, Artanis in D tier. No prestige because D tier is considered bad. Dehaka. Where do we have him?
Dehaka kind of just dies against missile command.
D for die.
It's
Haka.
D for die, yeah, and D for die Haka. Like even once you get to where you can have static defense, your static defense sucks against missile command because the primal worms attack so slowly that they will take forever to get through any kind of point defense drones, and they cost supply. I guess your best bet would be like mass Hydralisk, probably would be the best thing to try and defend with.
It's Creeper Host.
Creeper Host. I feel like the cooldown's so long in the later stage though, and like it's so easy for them to get wasted. I don't know. I guess you could go Creeper Host.
I can say from many people who spent countless hours trying to solve how to defend against missile command as Dehaka, the best performing result was consistently Creeper Hosts. It wasn't good, it was just the least terrible.
Yeah, I think because the Hydras are just going to kind of die over time anyways, because they attack relatively slow as Hydras go anyways. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, you should just not play Dehaka again. So I had him in D, but I wouldn't really be opposed to like an E tier here.
Ehaka? What do you think, Sticksbender?
Yeah, we can put him in D for Dehaka.
Dehaka.
It's a race between Artanis and Dehaka to say who is worse, and depending on who you ask, you'll get differing opinions on which one's worse. So they could be together.
D for differing opinions. There we go. D for Dehaka. No prestige because D tier is considered bad. Moving on, Phoenix. Where do we have him?
Okay, so Phoenix actually has slightly more manageable units that can shoot through point defense. Specifically, sentries can shoot through point defense, and carriers can shoot through point defense, which are very expensive gas-intensive units, but like, it is something. So there are a few options here. Option 1 is you can rely on these sentries and carriers and expect that you might lose some buildings when your army is out defending bots, but your army will sit at home whenever you're not actively defending bots. And you have the Arbiter to teleport your army back and forth. Or option 2 is you can try to do it with, like, your army is just your hero units, and what you have at home is your carriers and sentries. Whether or not P2 is better for this is debatable, actually, because on one hand, P2 does make your heroes out there much stronger, and in fact, against some compositions might mean you literally only need Keldalis and nothing else. On the other hand, that half damage does make your units a lot worse at shooting down missiles, and the half health makes them more susceptible to dying to the medium-sized missiles, so there is that. On the whole, Phoenix is fine. You're going to just be shooting down missiles with sentries and or carriers. If you have a ton of minerals lying around, you might also slap down some photon cannons, and you're going to be using mostly your heroes in order to be out on the map actually fighting things. And regardless of whether you have P2, Keldalis is very strong, so lean on Keldalis no matter what prestige you use. I'd probably put him in B.
B. What do you think, Edwin?
I'm a lockstep here, CTG. I think he's also B tier. Yeah, it's the sentries. I think if you're P2, sentries get one tapped by the medium missiles, which is really bad. And they kill things half as fast, which starts to matter when nukes come out. But then they're so expensive if you're not on P2 that trying to like get your army out's a bit of a pain, but it can be done. So B tier.
All right, prestige wise. So you're saying he has options,
Second
but
or first, I think, really, because
yes.
you know with the 120-second cooldown, that basically means that each bot set you get to use like 4-ish suit cooldowns because you can just have them all off cooldown, hit them out, and then hit the whichever one you called out first, maybe at the end, depending on the length of the bot set.
I think all of Phoenix's prestiges are pretty equal here. Personally, my least favorite option would be the first one, because then I don't get to use the Dragoon to shoot down nukes, because I would prefer to use the Dragoon to shoot down nukes personally, because it can just explode them with its spellcast. But yeah, like honestly, I think any Phoenix prestige works here, and they'll all be. I would put each of them independently in B tier. So
He has options, but all of them are B. There we go. Moving on. Karax, where do we have him?
Karax is he can repair, so he's an honorary Terran today.
Yeah.
Basically, he repairs. He repairs for free. He repairs without having to put mortal workers in peril, for he has a magic golden laser from the sky, which is not targetable, and that's how he repairs. He also has buildings that can shoot through point defense. Unfortunately, they are very expensive and shoot very slow, but they can shoot through point defense. So Terran monoliths are pretty good. They also have a ton of range, so they get huge coverage. Yeah, Karax is very, very capable of shooting down any number of missiles. But what about out on the map, clearing waves and protecting the bots? Well, the answer is you just go P3 and vaporize everything without even needing an army. And for your, what army you do make, I'd say probably make like either some zealots to tank, because zealots are good and they can tank while your spear minute kills everything. Or if you're feeling rich, you can try carriers. Is honestly to actually get this, work together with your teammate, and you spend most of your money defending the base, and then spend all your Spear of Adun energy making sure that your teammate only has to deal with casual difficulty-sized waves, because that's all that's left.
Are you insinuating that we should cooperate with our ally in a game mode called co-op? Preposterous.
I am.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard. Anyway, letter.
I would consider Karax for S tier, though kind of thinking top of A.
What do you think, Edwin?
I was going to have him in S because you can just use observers for vision as well. You clear the map. You can build cannons out on the map, which lo and behold now help you shoot down the missiles before they even get to your base. You can just use observers in the bottom left corner of the map to trap the beam super easily pretty early on. So that's not really a concern. The only concern then is when there's later beam spawning and you already have buildings out on the map. But worst case, you lose those buildings and you've already dealt with that section. You don't really care. I think he's really, really good because you have repair, and you have repair that you don't need a micro, and you have repair that works anywhere on the map, whether it's your allies' units or yours, if they're repairable, or buildings or whatever. So I think he's really, really, really good here. I don't think he's going to have any problems at all. So I had him in S.
What do you think about S tier, Sticksbender?
I think he's fine in S tier. There's going to be quite a few people in S tier, but he's fine in S tier. I will say, I have seen in circumstances when leaving buildings out on the map against Eminent Domain plus environmental mutators as Karax when it's like, we won't have to go back there anyways, it's fine. And then I've watched my random ally decide that they actually did want to go back there and lose half their army to my Karax defenses, and that was kind of funny to watch. So that could happen to you too if you are just building buildings out of the map and don't manage to trap all the beams.
All right, yeah. Okay, S is fine. Guys, challenge to you. Count how many times repair was mentioned in the Karax section. Prestige-wise...
It should have been more.
Prestige-wise, third one?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd
third
say
one.
third.
All right. Count how many repairs were used. Comment down below how many times we used the word repair in the Karax section. Kerrigan, what do we think?
Kerrigan is actually not bad this week either. Again, you have Overlords for beam trapping. You have Kerrigan to kind of just Kerrigan solo the map, ideally, with Omega Worms. And then you have just Mass Hydralisk at home. You have Malignant Creep to heal them up and give them more attack speed. And once you get to a certain number of Hydralisks, they'll just rip through anything, including the nukes. So I actually think she's pretty easy this week. I had her in A tier.
What do you think, Sticksbender?
Pretty much. Thank goodness that Amon doesn't know how to actually use Omega Worms. If he did, then she'd be in trouble. But because he doesn't, yeah, easily A tier. She's just pretty chill. You just hero solo while having a ball of Hydralisk defend the home base.
He doesn't steal Omegrams, does he? They just kind of die.
I thought they got stolen by Eminent Domain, but they might not.
No, I've never
so,
seen an
but-
enemy.
Yeah, maybe
Omega
not.
Worm.
I don't know.
Maybe they don't because
Either way, it doesn't
about the fact that
particularly
it belongs to
matter.
both players. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does
doesn't
because
come up.
if they get stolen, it'll be stuff that your units will be firing at instead of the enemy.
Actually, it makes it even better if they get stolen, because then you can just wall the enemy's
Oh, it doesn't
in
work.
with Omega Worms,
Oh, that
and
doesn't
then
work.
they kill them.
They walk through.
Hey,
it.
it would still make them have to go through a choke up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have forced them to a
They-
choke point. Also, if you're using P2 Kerrigan, you like having worms to shoot at.
That's true.
That's true. All right,
Although CTG is a
Also-
certified immobilization wave lover, so
I do love my
Also-
mobilization wave.
At this point, now I'm very curious as to whether they actually get stolen or destroyed. But like, if they get stolen, they still generate creep, which means they're still giving you malignant creep buff, even if they're not your worm anymore.
yeah,
So,
I feel like they must not.
So the Omegrams do not get stolen. So are we still agreeing with Kerrigan on A tier?
I mean, yeah, we kind of established that like it's like arguably slightly better if they do get stolen, but like we said that she was A tier either way. So yeah, A tier Kerrigan.
All right, prestige wise, you want second one?
Honestly, so the thing is, the thing about Kerrigan is that she is, all of her prestiges are basically just different hero unit loadouts, except for the first one.
First one, yeah.
So whatever hero unit, whatever loadout you prefer for your Kerrigan hero unit, P0 Kerrigan is a strong hero unit, P2 is a strong hero unit, and P3 is a strong hero unit. They just have different playstyles, different strengths and weaknesses on the hero unit, but you're soloing with the hero unit either way. So whichever version of Kerrigan you like using, use that one.
Okay, and they're all
Yeah,
A
I will
tier.
say P3 you get kinetic blast if you did want to be a little more on top of the nukes yourself, just for safety. You know, you can actually just target them down with kinetic blast as opposed to no anti-air abilities on Kerrigan. With
Yeah.
Anyway, Kerrigan A tier. Anything but the first prestige. You need the Omegrams to be where the enemies are, otherwise they can right-click the bots. Moving on, Nova. Where do we have him?
Nova. I hate shooting missile command with Nova. So the problem with Nova is that like there's a very small amount of struggle to get a critical mass of Marines wherein they actually are able to, not start losing Marines to the medium sized missiles. Emphasis on small. It realistically, it's not really a problem. Just make as many Marines as you can off of your barracks, and you'll be fine. And other than that, play normally. It's just normal Nova, but with a bunch of Marines standing at home patrolling to shoot down missiles. Yeah, you have repair, so if anything does slip through, oh no, anyways, you just repair it. And Nova has a strong hero unit that can deal with a good chunk of the mission on her own anyways, and she still has her Ravens and Liberators to be her army. A tier?
What do you think, Edmund?
Yeah, I did this with P1, and I actually just went Starport P1, and I made like 2 sets of Marines the whole game, and just made a bunch of missile turrets. And yeah, you just use Nova to target down the nukes if you need to, and it was pretty easy even with that, just Mass Liberator, Raven. But realistically, you could kind of almost solo the map with Nova and just a couple Liberators and Ravens. So you can also just go Barracks P1 and it'd be completely fine. And if you're up against Bio at that point, that's an excuse to go, or like some, biological comp, you could go Mass Ghost, which I do love.
Ooh,
but,
it's very satisfying sound. Snipe ASMR.
Yeah. So, there is that potentiality as well. And ghosts also have hit scan, so they'll be handy even when they're out in the battlefield. So yeah, I thought she was pretty good, but yeah, I didn't quite have her in S. So A tier is good.
Yeah.
All right, A tier for Nova. Do we like the first one here?
Yeah, I think first one.
All right, first prestige
Yeah,
for
you could also make an argument for third one.
an argument.
I
Sure.
just like having shotgun on this.
I do too.
But
I
yeah,
do
you could
three.
go P3. The thing is, clearing on this map just really isn't that difficult, especially as Nova.
There's-
Like shotgun can clear everything really easily. So I mean,
There's
if you're
also an
wanting to full
argument for
clear the map,
P0.
then that's fine.
There's an argument
yeah.
for P0.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
even
because you could get more Marines and more Liberators and Ravens instead of just all into one or the other. So you could go anything
come to
except
think of it.
2, and you could probably go 2 realistically as well.
Actually, I was about to make an argument that maybe 2 would be the best option because hear me out. You can still make enough Liberators and Ravens even without P1. You don't have to worry about choosing between having lots of Liberator and Raven or lots of Marines. You could still have plenty of Marines to be able to easily defend your home base from missiles. And yes, you now have a 2-minute cooldown on the airstrikes, but you're spending a decent amount of your minerals on Marines anyway, so it's not like you're going to be necessarily airstriking on cooldown. But now you only have a 30-second cooldown on moving your entire army to a bot you are out of position to defend. And we've talked about how, being able to suddenly get there in order to defend a bot is really helpful. So actually, there's an argument that P2 is the best prestige for Nova for this specific mutation.
If you have vision
Yes,
there.
but then you're out of position as any other prestige, and you're like, oh, I'm out of position. Airstrike, the wave's gone. So I don't know.
True.
It's true though. I think they're all probably legitimately A tier. Like they're all good.
Yeah.
So
All right, that's fair. Moving on, Raynor. Where do we have him?
Raynor is actually very good. One of those weeks where it's basically just a missile command check, and Raynor kind of excels at those. You have bunkers, you have repair. You can go bio if you want to. You can go into like P3. I did P3 battle cruisers, and it worked just fine. The BCs you just kind of use out on the map once you hit that point with the top bars, and you just have 3 or 4 bunkers per base. No big deal. You win, and you move on with your life. So I had him in S tier.
Ooh, what do you think, Sticksbender?
Let's see. How does he compare to the other S tier candidates?
He has repair, he has bunkers, he has marines with your hit scan.
So my thought is there's a couple of other people who I would say are S tier who are comfortably better than Raynor, but he's also kind of comfortably better than the people who are currently in A tier. Right now, the gap between S tier and A tier is it feels like there should be a tier between these because there's a big step between the current S tiers and current A tiers, and Raynor feels like he goes right in the middle there.
Water is great,
I
guys.
think we can put him in S.
Water is
Some
amazing.
water. Oh man.
I'm sorry, what?
Your voice sounded like it was dying there for a second.
It did. Everything is fine. Yeah, I would say Raynor S tier is fine. There's an argument to say Raynor S tier. Karax and Mace go up to double S.
We can do that later if you want. Okay.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
can do
we'll get
that
to
later.
We'll get to
Yeah.
that.
All
We'll get to
right,
that.
Raynor S tier. Let's go.
All right, moving on. Stetboy, where do we have him?
So Stetmann does have Hydralisks. His Hydralisks aren't nearly as good as Kerrigan's Hydralisks at shooting down missiles, but they work. He has a hero unit who can solo stuff. It's not quite as good as Kerrigan's hero unit because of the fact that he is an air unit and therefore things can just run past him to attack the bots. But he's fine. He's similar power level to Kerrigan. He just doesn't get to tank to block against enemies. And he does have map mobility of satellites. It's just not quite as good as Omega Worms. And basically, the more you look at it, it's basically just Stetmann is Kerrigan, but slightly worse at everything with one exception, and that exception is he can repair. His drones can repair his mechanical buildings, which is very amusing. So I would personally put Stetmann in A tier as basically the same as Kerrigan, where it's basically Kerrigan, but we took a slight downgrade to literally every aspect of Kerrigan in order to get repair.
Yeah, what do you think, Sticks? Epidome?
Well, I actually thought he was better in every way than Kerrigan. The Hydralisk I never had any problems with. The nukes and whatnot, like you get like 30, 40 Hydralisks by the time the nukes come out. You have plenty. And as far as units running past, I have two answers to that. One, they're now running away from you, which means when you launch your E-Gorb, it's just going to follow perfectly in sync with them and deal even more damage than it already would have. And two, like 50 to 100 Zerglings underneath Stetmann, and you have plenty of money to do that. So I thought he was super, like, just fall asleep easy when I ran it. So I had him in S.
Ooh, what do you know about S tier, Sticksbender?
I think I wouldn't go as far as to say S tier. I think one thing that I will say for all the S tier commanders here is that currently all the S tier commanders could easily solo the mission while defending your allies' base from their missiles and defending your base from your missiles. Stetmann definitely would struggle hard to do that, and if you were trying to do that, Kerrigan would actually do better because the Omega Worms would draw missiles away from your actual base, and
That's true.
because your Hydralisks have more DPS, like the Hydralisks on Malignant Creep are definitely better than Stetmann's Hydralisks. Like, it's just that Stetmann's Hydralisks are good enough, and so being better doesn't feel nearly as impactful when you go from good enough to it's still good enough. So I would say I would value Kerrigan higher than Stetmann, but like I think both are very easy, honestly. Both are very strong here. I will say this mutation is not particularly difficult for anyone who passes missile command check. So, like, if you think about it, it's missile command and then Eminent Domain, which is in most cases kind of a non-mutator, and Purifier Beam, which can be trapped and then become kind of a non-mutator. So, like, it's basically just missile command and that's it. So,
Pretty much.
I think I would put Stetmann with Kerrigan. I think that him being, like, easy is not actually, like, it feeling easy to play a game of Stetmann is not unique. It would also feel easy to play a game of Kerrigan or Alarak or no. It's a little bit less capable of carrying an incompetent ally than the current S tiers, I feel like.
Do you have a final case for S tier, Edwin, or are you okay with A?
I'm okay with A. I'll say, having played all the people you mentioned there, I thought he was the easiest of the bunch. But I was playing solo. So, but again, I mean, you don't actually have to keep anything more than one of your allies' buildings alive.
Technically, it's true.
Technically true.
I think you could do that just
That
fine with
said-
his Hydralisk.
I will say, because I, back in the day, did solos back when, like, there was no functioning mod
Minus
for making
solo.
the missiles all go to
Yeah,
your
yeah,
base
yeah.
for solos. So all of your allies' missiles would be concentrated on their one building. The medium missiles would kill your stuff so fast. It really increased the critical mass
Not
when
with
your
the
ally
green
only has
zone?
one building. Yeah. Let me put it this way. You know the whole thing with, like, when I talked about Nova having a slight concern about critical mass. That's where it came from, because when having to defend a singular command center that was eating all of the missiles for my ally, I would have like 8 Marines in a spot. I'd look away for 2 minutes. I come back. There are now 6 Marines because that many medium missiles in that small an area.
Yeah, for Statboy, he has green
Uh,
zone, so he doesn't have that much concern of his.
It only takes 2 missiles happening to hit the same Hydralisk at the same time, and it dies regardless of green zone. And also, you probably don't want to have permanent green zone anyways, because you're going to want a lot of blue zone for getting around with your Gary and your Zerglings. So, like, you're going to be switching between green and blue. Defending, my point is, defending one singular building that's eating all of the aggro is harder than you probably might think. Either way, yeah, I would say I'd put Stetmann with Kerrigan, because I do think that Worms TM make things really easy.
All right, if it's not unanimous, it's not S tier. So down to A tier, Statboy goes. Prestige-wise, still second one, right?
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov is very good as well. You just, have infinite infested. Make sure you trap the beams. As long as they're trapped, that's the only, like, if you're not trapping the beams, Stukov will feel a lot worse because they will just sit on your rally and you will never get units where they need to go. So I don't want to see any comments about that. But anyways, yeah, as long as you're trapping the beams, he's very easy.
Don't worry, Edwin, I'll make sure to be the guy who comments that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think he's S tier. Yeah, you just have infested Marines, and your bunkers, once you upgrade them, have super healing. So even if they get hit by the occasional missile, it won't really matter.
What do you think, Sticksbender? S tier?
I would argue you can even put him in S tier if you don't trap the beam, because you could just go P1. If you don't have confidence in trapping the beam, just go P1. Now your bunkers are slightly better at shooting down missiles, so you don't need as many bunkers to shoot
That's
down
true.
the missiles, and you can go for a mass of Diamondbacks who very much do not have to worry about missiles at all. So
Or even the Purifier Beam, I
basically,
think.
if you're very much don't have to worry about Purifier Purifier Beam is what I meant to say. Diamondbacks are fast, they shoot while moving. They don't have to worry. Also, you don't even have to worry about enemies just trying to run past you, because as long as you're running towards the bot and leaving that slime trail behind, they'll just die if they try to go target fire the bot for some random reason. I would say if you are very confident in trapping the beam, P3 Stukov is good. If you are not confident in trapping the beam, just go P1 Stukov instead. He's S tier either way.
Nice. Well, I guess it's the unanimous S tier. The only concern is, are we recommending both or either the first or third prestige?
Either. Both are S tier.
Both are S. All right.
Also, repair. He has repair.
Okay.
And nothing will go wrong.
Nothing will go wrong.
And nothing will go wrong. Like, you can. The only reason we didn't mention repair with Stukov is because, but why would you even need repair? Nothing should happen that you need repair. You have bunker and your buildings heal.
Stukov S. First or third? Moving on, Swann. Where do we have him? Speaking of.
Speaking of repair, he's the best at repair. He's great at repair. Well, there's an argument between Swann and Karax as to who's the best at repair, but he's good at repair. Yeah, exactly. He's good at repair. On a more serious note, your missile turrets do not ignore point defense drones. However, they shoot 11 projectiles.
They don't ignore. They destroy point defense drones.
The point defense drone cries and then dies of exhaustion. So, you are fine. Just make a bunch of missile turrets. You have repair. Your buildings are very tanky, too. Your buildings can just face tank nuke several of them because of how tanky they are if you have building health mastery.
And if you get engineering Bay upgrade, you don't even need to manually repair. They'll just automatically repair up to 50%.
Exactly. Which also... I believe this is what Etpun Home was referring to when he talked about how there's one commander who can just use a flying building to trap the beam and not worry about missiles going for it. It's Swann! Your building will just heal! You can just use a factory to trap beam, and the factory will just heal off of the missile damage. It'll just heal it all off with the self-repair. Swann's great. Also, if you go for P1, he's also really easy, because your laser drill, the thing about P1 is that it makes the laser drill extremely good at wave clear. This map is just wave clear. The enemies can't just run past you and target the bot if they're slowed by 70% in an AoE from a laser drill that is in your base, surrounded in missile turrets that's never getting hurt by missile command. Like, Swann is easy S tier. He's so good.
All right, what do you think, Edwin Helm?
Yeah, Swann's really good. He's got free repair into free repair, so it's a really good time. You can go buildings out on the map if you want to. You can go for an army. The one thing I'd say is, just don't rush into, because you have free repair, there's no need to rush out missile turrets until you're getting into like the nuke range and like the point defense drone range and things like that. Don't hamstring your economy and like actually your clearing capabilities by building missile turrets that aren't actually saving you a penny, because just 2 SCVs in each base is going to keep you fully repaired anyways. And if you get the building repair upgrade, no SCVs is going to do that. So yeah, just wait to add those until you actually need them, and that'll make things even easier for you. But yeah, I had him in S tier as well.
Plus, if you get the correct mastery, the lasers will be doing the missile shooting down, right?
Yep.
That's true too.
The correct
the gas
mastery.
drone cost. That's what you're talking about, right?
What else could it be?
Gosh. Yes, upgrade laser drill upgrade mastery, as always, is good. Very good. Extremely good even.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Highly recommended.
Okay, which prestige here? First? Actually, anyone, I feel like. Because
I would strongly recommend first, but that's just more of a general Swann recommendation thing, because I think
first or second,
9 times out of 10, the first is better, except for when you have to worry about clearing quickly on specific maps, at which point concentrated beam and pulse cannon become essential for clearing, but like that's only on specific maps. If P1 is your go-to on Swann, that is not a bad thing. It's just very good.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, the drill's going to spend a lot of time locking on if you're anything other than P1 as well, and not a lot of time doing anything else.
Moving on, Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus is, I think, maybe the worst Terran commander. He does have repair, but his turrets are hit scan, but holy cow, his turrets are so terrible. That said, he is Terran, and so he's basically good anyways, and he does have some hit scan. Like, basically, he can get all 5 of his heroes to be hit scan, I think, except for Sirius, but you can get the turrets, which are hit scan. So you have hit scan with all 5 mercs. You can use them at home and a clear. You're going to have no problem clearing, because again, it's basically a free week. So I guess his his main downside as a Terran as well, besides the turrets, is that I guess you could build command centers and float them. So there you go. You can still float buildings, but only command centers, I think, with him.
His main downside is you can't just throw serious turrets haphazardly, because if the enemy destroys them,
you're gonna lose them. And yeah, his turrets as well. Like if you lose a missile turret as Swann, you don't care at all because it can only shoot up. You lose a turret as Tychus, suddenly that turret is killing your SCVs. So yeah, I think he's still probably A tier, but he definitely hurts more than a lot of the other Terrans.
What do you think, Sticksbender?
I think that I would strongly recommend you use Lone Wolf here, and just leave an outlaw at home to defend against missiles. Genuinely, designate someone to shoot down missiles. Other than that, he's A tier. Yeah, his turrets do suffer from Eminent Domain because they actually can just turn around and kill you. And the thing of his turrets is that the problem with Tychus turrets is they cost a lot of money and they do an absurd amount of DPS, and then they have less hit points than a Zealot. I think they have the same hit points as Zealot but lower base armors.
Again, except just
So
as serious, don't throw serious turrets because those also get taken over.
do they get taken over if you have the exploding upgrade, or do they just fail to explode, or what happens?
So you get the exploding upgrade and they stop getting taken over? That's probably what happens in my other games. I noticed it early on because I don't rush the exploding upgrade. Maybe
I'll also note whenever an enemy or whenever a building gets taken over, but that building has timed life, it does not reset the duration when it gets taken over.
That's true. You can wait it out.
So like, yeah,
But
especially since like if they only get taken over when they were like 90% of the way to timing out, then Amon gets to have the turret for the last 10% of its lifespan. So for 2 seconds, congratulations, Amon, you got a turret for 2 seconds.
If you're right next to a bot and you suddenly now have a Tychus turret that's shooting you instead of the enemy, might be a little dicey.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't think they're Lone Wolf power level, right? They like lose the Lone Wolf buff when they get taken over, I think. So they're only regular serious turrets.
You know what? There's also just the option of just don't use Sirius. As I said,
Yeah.
any outlaw other than Nikara can solo a wave if you have Lone Wolf bonus. So like, it's fine.
almost.
Yeah.
All right, A tier?
Yeah,
A
A
tier.
tier.
All right, second prestige. Moving on. Oh, hey, go up. There we go. Vorazun. Where do we have him?
Vorazun is surprisingly good because of the fact that you put one dark pylon up, and suddenly all of your buildings that aren't that dark pylon are getting repaired effectively because their shield regeneration is now 5 times as fast, which means that the missiles stop shooting them for like half a second, and they're full health shields. The dark pylon does not cloak itself, so it itself does not get that bonus. So you'll have to make sure you're protecting the dark pylon. But like your buildings on the edge of your base, because normally for most commanders, the buildings on the edge of your base are the ones getting hit the most often because you have the least time to shoot stuff down, and therefore they're the first ones to die. For Vorazun, those buildings on the edge of your base, as long as they're in dark pylon cloak range, aren't at as much risk of dying as the dark pylon. Speaking of standard shooting down missiles procedures, Corsairs are hit scan.
Yes.
Yep, that about does it.
Letter?
You make a bunch of Corsairs, you defend like that, and then you just play standard Vorazun basically. She's A tier, I would say, but like low A tier. Like I would definitely rather be Vorazun than like Abathur or Fenix, but I would not rather be Vorazun than like a lot of people in A tier. There's an argument to push Abathur and Fenix down to C and put Vorazun into B and then see if anyone from A should go down into B, but like I don't know if people should be getting down to C.
We can talk about that later.
Well,
What do you think,
talk about it
Edwin?
for now.
Yeah, the 400% buff to shield regen is really good. And then the main problem is not only are the dark pylons then targeted, but like I think they take 4 missiles in theory if they don't get any regen to die, so they're very squishy. So keep them alive and you'll be fine. Yeah, I'd say the dark pylon range master is probably worth getting this week, just so you don't have to build too many of them, and then you have energy for your Dark Templar. So yeah, they're very good. I had them in A tier as well.
All right, unanimous A tier. Third prestige. She has 1 prestige. Moving on, Zagara. What do we have him?
Zagara has not the best options against missile command. Really kind of not good options at all. Like bio launchers, I guess technically, but no, and spore crawlers technically, but no. Yeah, it's kind of pain. I personally had her pretty low. I had her in D tier with our boys down there. So
What do you think, Sticksbender?
But you don't understand. Her drones are cheaper, which means her spore crawlers are cheaper, which means she's S tier, obviously. Yeah,
True.
Zagara's terrible. Yeah, she can go in D tier. Yeah, that seems fine. I'd argue there is an argument actually. No, you know what? I think Zagara is actively worse than Artanis and Dehaka because here's the problem. Aside from spore crawlers, what units are you going to shoot down missiles with? Scourge?
Ouch.
Corruptors?
Corruptors?
Go P2, you have super healing corruptors at least.
Your
and,
best unit for shooting down missiles, actually, unironically, is Queens?
That's
Yeah,
launchers.
No, it's actually
manually
Queens,
targeted in every
genuinely.
direction. So bad.
Yeah, I would say honestly, like at least Dehaka, once he gets creeper hosts, is fine. Once you get enough creeper hosts, and then his top bar can solo the map. And Artanis, somewhat similar story actually. He could kind of top or solo the map a little bit. Like Zagara, she has a hero unit that is strong, but it's not quite. It's not pack leaders. Yeah, I would put her in E tier, honestly.
Yeah,
do you think?
I think that's fine.
Okay, Zagara goes in E tier. The one guy who completed this with Zagara with an Arcturus ally is already furiously typing in the comments, guys. Watch out.
I do like how this tier list really shows with Missile Command, there isn't really much of an in-between. You're like, you either can deal with Missile Command and you're B or above, or you can't and you are D or below. Like, there's no C in this week. Like,
there really
it's one or the
isn't.
other.
There we go. Fixed.
yeah, for sure. Arguably.
I would say-
Well, arguably, yeah. I mean, maybe he's double S.
Yeah, okay. No.
Okay.
Like, looking at the rest of S tier, if we put Zeratul in S tier right now, he is fighting with Raynor for the worst S tier, basically. Like, because it's not that Zeratul is bad. He still is S tier at that point. But he's comparing with Stukov and Swann and Karax and Mengsk. And I mean, for Stukov and Swann, the S is in the name. Obviously, they're better S tiers.
How about
true.
Sarax? So,
I mean, look, you know what? Look at his portrait. Yeah, that's Sterax. That's Sterax right there. Look at him. He's staring into your soul.
sorry. Thanks. Arcturus.
No, Arcturus. It's just because, actually,
Oh my
secretly,
God.
we've been saying his name backwards the whole time. That's how he's hiding his true identity.
Ah,
It
of
starts with
course.
an S.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's like
Donnie.
Narud.
Oh my Donnie. What is Arcturus backwards?
It's actually, he's actually named Sarutkra.
Suratka.
That is, he's clearly a Zerg queen at that point. I gotta,
You guys are making me
Technically-
cry.
You thought
An old-
that the Psi-emitter actually worked? You thought the Psi-emitter actually worked, but the Confederacy just never used it? No! Mengsk has actually been a Zerg queen this whole time!
He's just directing the Zerg. Personas. Oh my God.
The whole thing with the Psi-emitter was just a whole ploy so that he could hide the fact and have plausible deniability that he's been a Zerg this entire time.
Oh my Donnie.
Psi-emitter psyop.
Oh, okay. Zeratul, where do we have him? S tier?
I'd put him at the bottom of S tier, yeah.
Okay, what do you think I put home?
yeah, monoliths are incredible. A few shield guards to repair the monoliths shields, and it's super, super easy. So S tier.
Alright, do we have a double S?
We have a few.
I don't know. It's like if double S is you play no differently than you normally would. It's like, well, I'm not exactly building bunkers in the back of my base as Raynor, you know. Like,
Yeah, Raynor
That's
is not
not-
double S.
the same with Mengsk and same with Karax, realistically, and Swann. Like, I'm not just building random missile turrets and stuff in my base, but I mean, it is close enough to how you normally play that. Like, Swann could definitely be double S. I think.
Swann and
Ooh.
Karax, I think, would be the double S candidates, yeah.
Alright, are we
Yeah, I think
unanimous
that's
on this?
Sure, let's do that.
C tier.
There was never a C tier, it was just a myth.
Yeah, that's not a real word. Did your friends teach you that?
Although, you know what? I think that actually the letter that comes in the alphabet between B and D is F. I think we should correct that.
Ah, of course.
It's true.
There we go.
Yes.
There we go.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Well, okay.
Perfect.
Oh my God. Who's top of double S?
Oh,
I think it's got to be
Yeah, it's
Swann,
hard.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Swann's
that's
repair is
tough.
just better. His home defense is just better. The top bar for Karax is really good,
The
but
top bar for Karax is really good.
So much better.
yeah, they're both really strong, and they're both
so
a good bit stronger than the other in their own ways. But it kind of balances out to where they're very similar. I think.
Yeah.
I'm fine
Okay.
with Karax on top. I mean, Swann, you got to keep a good man down. You know, he never gets to be a better than Karax. So why make this
You know
week?
what? No, actually, that's a good point. Swann never gets to be better than Karax. Swann is. I think if I had to choose, it actually would be Swann. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Swann.
Yeah,
Swann. Then.
Swann
Yeah.
can be above Karax. They're basically
You go,
identical. But
buddy.
we'll put
You
Swann
go.
above because Swann deserves a first place every now and again.
Swann's beard is just
Oh,
more
yeah.
glorious.
That's true. That's
Swann's
true.
blonder than Karax.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's top of S tier?
Probably like exactly how it is. Maybe Raynor
No,
below
I would put
Stukov.
Stukov above Raynor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, exactly that.
Okay.
Well, okay, no, I'd put Zeratul above Raynor.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
But like they're
Who's-
very
Well,
close together.
I don't know, because like Raynor, if you're talking about defending your ally as well as yourself, Raynor's probably even easier than.
Oh, Raynor has repair, doesn't he?
And he has
He does have
repair.
repair. He does have repair. You can kind like as the game goes on, you get to a critical mass of cannons with Zeratul. By the way, just to be clear, in case anyone was wondering, you're going mass cannon, obviously. As you get to, well, actually, I forgot. You're going mass cannon, but Eminent Domain.
You can
I mean,
cancel.
technically, you can select the cannon at home and cancel it, but you have to select the cannon at home and cancel it, and then you cancel all the cannons that you were still using that weren't Eminent Domain, and it's
I'll say I just went army. I think I went P0 and just
Okay.
you go the cooldown reduction. You get like so many monoliths throughout the game with just a few shield guards.
True,
Like
true.
the monoliths kill the stuff, the shield guards repair any shield damage you take from the medium missiles and whatnot. And it's and then you just go army.
Also, the crime of not going P2 on the literal longest map in the game.
I think I did it because I was like, oh, you could do that, right? May as well do something other than P2 for once. But I might have been
Fair
P2.
enough.
I don't remember that for sure. I just
Ar-
remember I went army and not cannons.
As someone who has refused to ever do artifact trapping because I would rather be honorable and play the artifact minigame, I have gotten to level 11 upgrades on this map.
Oh my gosh.
This map
don't
is so
see-
long.
I remember I was on Dead of Night and like I wasn't bothering to trap the artifacts because I was like, I only do it if I feel like, I want to. And my genius Stukov ally insisted on building buildings to trap it for me and then pinging every like 2 minutes in the spot as if I was a brain dead toddler who didn't know.
I mean, you did play
Every
Zeratul,
single
so
time, throughout the entire game, every 2 minutes, ping. He even put a little spray from one of his SCVs right in the spot with like an arrow or something like that. I was like, dude, I know, I just wasn't doing it.
I mean, you did play Zeratul, so you're almost just projecting that you didn't like challenges,
yeah, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, you don't have to do that, but you could go P2 as well. Yeah.
All right.
We joke about
So who's top of who's top of A tier?
Oh yeah, the tier list.
yeah.
Right,
The thing
that's
we
what
got
we're here
derailed
for.
from, by the way, was me arguing that maybe Zeratul goes under Raynor, but whatever. It's fine. They're close enough that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I thought you argued that he went above him. Isn't that what it was?
I said actually on second thought, Eminent Domain, and that's why I was arguing that he should maybe go.
Oh yeah,
above
but you
Raynor.
don't need to go mini. I don't know. I think it's fine either way. But yeah, I think top of A would be like
Probably Nova.
yeah, Nova gets repair and she has Marines, which are pretty good. Oh, do make sure you get the Marine stem pack upgrade so that they heal themselves if they do take damage
Yes.
to the medium missiles. Make sure you get that.
They will die very fast if you don't get the.
You don't
stem
actually need it for
activation.
the stem, but you do need it for the heal. So do that.
I mean, the stem also helps for shooting down like.
It helps,
nukes.
but if you didn't have the medium missiles, you wouldn't need it to kill the nukes.
This is true.
It would help, but yeah, you do need it because you need the heal. So
Yeah.
I
Anyways,
think
next.
Vorazun's
I
quite
would,
good.
Vorazun's good, but I would say the next would be like Stetmann and Kerrigan.
Oh yeah, Stetmann gets repair, which helps your ally, and Kerrigan. I think we said. I guess the argument was Kerrigan was better than Stetmann. So
I argued
I'm good with
Kerrigan was
either.
better than Stetmann. You argued Stetmann was better than Kerrigan. I will say they're both very close, so we can kind of just put them in either order.
yeah, I think this is fine then. Yeah.
There's a piece of me that wants to put Kerrigan above Stetmann just out of spite towards Stetmann because he's always at the top of the tier list. But that's
I
about
mean,
it.
he's 3 tiers down this week, so there's that at least.
Yeah. This is like the lowest Stetmann has ever been.
I think a couple of weeks ago they
A
put him in B
tier.
or
What a
something.
loser.
Hold on. We have 2 Terran commanders at the bottom of A tier. Well, close to the bottom of A tier. They have repair.
I would say Alarak goes below both of the. Well, Does he go below Tychus? No. I would say Horner, then Alarak, then Tychus, then Vorazun, in that order.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
All right, top of B tier. The guy with Mend, right?
I would probably rather be Abathur, but I also just
I
prefer
think so too.
Zerg commanders. So-
No, I prefer Protoss commanders, and I still think I'd rather be Abathur.
I don't.
Yeah, that's
Not like a
fair.
whole tier worse, but I think it's pretty comfortably Abathur above Phoenix.
I don't have preference, but I do like Abathur. So who's top of F tier? Who's top of D tier?
I think this is good. I think Artanis is probably better.
All right, and
I'd actually, well, no, I'd put Dehaka higher. For solos, I'd put Artanis higher. For actually having a teammate, I'd put Dehaka higher.
That's fair. All you need is a
just
teammate to
because
like,
of-
get you there.
For solos, you have so many more missiles to deal with. For non-solo, like the thing that made Dehaka really struggle with solos on Missile Command was the problem that it was hard to physically get your anti-air out before your base straight up died to missiles alone.
Your tech tree's too long, basically.
Literally, people were having to optimize their Dehaka Missile Command soloing build orders because they're running into problems of some like conventional build orders that Dehakas would use against non-Missile Command would literally lose the game before the first attack wave to just the missiles.
very sad.
It was that bad. Like, but if you have an ally, half the missiles are going to your ally, and half of them are going to you. And suddenly, Dehaka actually has time to build things that shoot up. At which point, once you actually have creeper hosts, they are better at defending against missiles than anything Artanis actually can ever get.
Fine by me.
Okay. All right. So last part of the tier list, we don't have any need for synergies because there are only 5 commanders B or lower. What does Zagara need to do to get out of E tier?
Have some form of hit scan, any at all.
My launchers are now hit scan. There we go.
Yeah, bio launchers no longer have a cooldown on their attacks.
Oh.
The best way to do this with Zagara is going to be like you're going to have Zagara hero unit with P3. You're going to try to solo everything with your hero unit, even though your hero unit is definitely worse than a lot of other hero units. If you are against like Heron Bio, your hero unit can probably solo all the attack waves. You can kind of do it as Zagara. It's actually
Still E
okay
tier
at
though.
that point.
That's still E tier. Yeah, you have to buff Zagara to get her out of E tier.
Yeah.
So maybe if the transfuse automatic, or if
Honestly,
spores were hit
Zagara
scan.
should have had the autocast transfuse that exists in the Heart of the Swarm campaign.
Well, Abathur's do, but yeah, Zagara's do. not.
Abathur's do, and he shouldn't. He should have standard 1v1 transfuse, and Zagara has standard 1v1 transfuse, but should very much have that transfuse. Don't get me started on this one.
I won't. Don't worry. Maybe I should though.
Anyways, the
Spores?
the
Give
point
Spores hit scan. That'll fix it, right? Or give Drones repair. Give Zagras Drones repair. What's the worst can happen?
now bad Stetmann, yay.
Yeah, which is B tier. Or yeah, B tier.
What you could do, the way to make Zagara good is you play with someone who is defending your base from missiles for you, and then you
And then you
just
still
play
can't make
the game.
Scourge because your Scourge would rather chase
Don't make
missiles.
Scourge. Oh, don't make Scourge. Yeah.
Oh my
Hope
God.
it's not an air comp, because if it is, what are you going to do? Make corruptors, I guess. I don't.
Make Bailing Barrage also shoot up. Oh my
P2
God.
Zagara's corruptors should get like a Zerg form of Swann's missile turrets attacks, where they shoot like a cluster of.
So like
Clearly,
Stet
that
Boys,
would solve
corruptors.
That would get them.
Yeah, they should be Stetmann corruptors.
Yeah, basically. Except that's an auto attack, not an ability. And then
No. It can be an ability. Just put it on auto cast, and then it'll be fine.
True. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would work. And then no longer E tier.
There we go. All right, guys, watch Sticksbender's channel. I will link it down below. See you guys next time.